Hello, students. We're going to talk about constructing angles and triangles. For the notes for this, we're talking about drawing triangles, and it's something that you probably would have already done in the past in some lessons. And so, the notes start off with something a little bit more basic. This is a tip sheet that I have to guide you through how to draw triangles. So I would like you to start by pausing this video, and I would recommend that you copy these notes down, and when you're done you could press play again and we'll continue on. So as you can see, I did ask for a few things. I asked that you sketch first. In other words, I would like you to start by following the instructions, create a sketch, make sure that you include everything that's in the instructions, and from there then you could start constructing the triangle, which is then the measure part, and then you could draw the triangle, which you just pretty much do it. So let me try to work through an example here. This is something that I believe you should be able to find in your books. And in these instructions, it talks about using a ruler, compass, and protractor, and it gives you some sides and angles here. So what I would like to show you is how does this sketch work in the first place. And so the way the sketch works is you start off with just a triangle. Now, why do I like doing this? Because you got to sometimes just start by doing something, right? You're not going to look for the perfect triangle yet. Sometimes it takes a while to sketch and to figure out whether the shape you're about to get is correct, and I'll show you in a second here what that would look like. So I know that there's a triangle, and I know it has the sides X, Y, and Z. Now where you put them doesn't quite matter as long as you're following the instructions here. It says that X to Y is going to be 5 centimeters. I'm going to put 5. They're on the same units, so X to Z is going to be 3.5, and X or YXZ is this side right here, and that is going to be 50 degrees. All right. Now, an option is you could continue to just draw the triangle, or you could fix up the sketch. So for those of you who are a little bit more familiar with these shapes, or you have a good sense of these objects, I would start maybe choosing one line. I would say 5 centimeters. Let's make it just a teensy bit longer. And 3.5 centimeters, or actually let's do the 50 degrees. So I know that if I had like a 90-degree angle, sometimes I use that as a reference, then half of it should be 45 degrees. So the 50 should be pretty close to that. So I know I'm going to be drawing the line this way. And then the last bit is that the 3.5 centimeters, that's going to be about 70% of the 5, and so I'll just make that about 3/4, so about right there. And then the last angle we're not given, so I could just assume that we're going to close this triangle, and that's it. And so then I would rewrite X, I would rewrite Z, Y, and Z. I would write down the 5, the 50, and the 3.5. And now when I look at it a little bit closer, it looks like it makes sense. It's not too different from the triangle I just had, but you could see how the shape protrudes a little bit on the left side, a little bit more strongly. So then when you're drawing these, then you simply use the tools that you have. Start by drawing one of the lines. I would say let's start with the 5 centimeters, and if I measured it with a ruler, let's say I get the actual accurate number there, I'll use my protractor. Now when you use a protractor, keep in mind that, remember, it looks something like this, right? And remember that this bottom line needs to be at the 0. That's a 0 degrees right there. And then I just take a look at which direction it's going in, and what the other angles are. So I would put this bottom line, and I would match it to this 5 centimeter line right there. That way I'm able to measure where the 50 is. Now let's say when I measure the 50 on the protractor, I'll write a dot at the end of the protractor that's maybe around here, and let's say that that's the 50 degrees. So then once I'm done, I would then use my ruler, and I would just measure up to 3.5. Now it's not always going to be on the dot, but the dot gives you the direction of which way you're going to go. All right, and then I could just close that with another ruler, and so this would be my final drawing. Now I want to remind you that you must write down the parts that are given to you in the question. like that. I have the 5 centimeters, I have the 3.5 centimeters, and I have the 50 degrees. Now, the rest of this is just a few more tips, just some additional tips for you to work on or to look at when you're working on these questions. But the tip that I would have, it starts off with just always draw one of the angles, right? Remember, you're usually going to be given 3 sides. I would say just start sketching. And then the final one is include all lines or angles in question. All right, so that's some general tips for you to get a start on this. Now, one of the things that we did talk, or that you should look into, is sometimes you'll be given, so usually you'll be given a variety of different things. Sometimes you'll be given 3 sides. Sometimes you'll be given 2 sides and 1 angle. Or sometimes you're going to be given 1 side and 2 angles. You will most likely need these pieces of information to know what you are going to draw, or else it's incomplete. So usually 3 would be what you would use. And then we are going to use something like a triangulation. So if it is 3 sides, this is where you will need a compass. And you'll still need your protractor. Actually, my bad, you don't need a protractor for that one. So you'll most likely need a compass for that. For the one with 2 sides and 1 angle, this is where you need the protractor. And same with the last one as well. All right. I think we've done a lot of examples of the questions with protractors and angles because of the previous unit. So I won't go too much into that, but I'll talk about the compass because it's a new tool that's being introduced in this unit. And so the purpose of the compass is it helps you with triangulating. Helps triangulate. So in other words, what we're saying here is you will be able to find the spot where your triangle connects. So let me give you an example. Let's say I'm given 3 sides, and let's say I know the measurements for them. I think 8, 7, and 5 was one of the questions. So I'll write the 8 right there. Now, if I were to draw this, because I don't know the angle of the side, so I'm going to have to use my compass. Now, in your compass, what you do is, if this is something like your compass, you're then going to take the side with the pencil. So let's assume that's a pencil right there. And you have the side with the needle right there. And this right here should be whatever measure you are trying to draw. So let's say I use my compass and I try to find the 7 centimeter angle. So what I would do is I would put one point at the 0 and I would put the other point on the 7. And then I would draw a circle using that compass. Now, if you only have like a ruler and a protractor, but you don't quite have the compass, then you can also use yarn. Same thing where you put your thumb on the 0 and then you'll put the pencil on the number that you want. You tighten the string and you could draw this. This is something I will show you in class as well. And then let's say you do the last one, which is about 5 centimeters. So you start, or you plug it in, or sorry, not plug it in, but you use the compass and you should be able to get another circle. Now, I will tell you that usually there are 2 points where the circle meets. They should be pretty much the same distance from the main line. And so let's say that I'm going to choose the bottom one right there because I just have enough space to go down. So what I do next is I'll make a dot where these 2 areas meet. And then what I would do is use a ruler to then draw a line towards that dot from the triangle, and same with the other side. Now don't forget, you need to label what the letters are, so sometimes it's like PQR, but I wanted to mostly highlight that this is the type of answer you'll get. And so this is done by triangulation, something that we're trying in class, whether it's using a compass or yarn. Anyhow, I'm gonna end the notes there. The big one is this piece of information here, but towards the bottom there are some pro tips that you can use and some suggestions on what tools you would want to have. And you know what, just to make sure that this is clear, I'm gonna add the word tools right here, and it just reminds me that these will be the tools that I will most likely need to answer these questions. Anyhow, that is it for now. Have a good one.